Among the stars there are a great many screaming horrors that would invert the mind of any sane being. As it is their way to do, they squabble and fight drawn out conflicts across vast stretches of time, raising armies of mutilated flesh only to have them cut down before another such horde. The satanic forces of a realm known as Hell, the black goat Shub-Niggurath and her putrid young. The undying spawn of 1,000 other realities. They all spend their power frivolously, but there is one, a bed of such chaos and intellect as to dwarf its counterparts. A being working always from the shadows, which would search for the most worthy of all, bestowing its own strength upon them to fight the battles they would not. To reign as one always must, beneath Dusk. Gods had begun. Humanity had all players deep and challenging, different is less likely to get me horribly Like the others had begun, space marines and rangers, he knew nothing of outer gods and endless wars across the stars. He had merely heard rumours of great riches in that forbidden, cult-ridden town, and had sought to make a quick fortune. He had never expected to end up with the power of a god. Tested by some unknown force, and with an ever-present voice mocking him, the treasure hunter travels through the town, learning its secrets and uncovering the eldritch knowledge that lay below it. Even though he had seen impossible things, feats of magic and mysticism, creatures straight from the nightmares of a madman, he continued to believe that the madness around him was the sole doing of the cult, directed by its deranged leader, that ever-present voice in his ear. This would soon change though, as reality twisted around him, inviting the idea that something more was behind this, something more than a mere human. And when it accessed his memories, recreated a warped version of his home, his entire life up until that fateful day he found himself hung on those meat hooks just outside Dusk. He knew he was being toyed with, tested like a rat in a lab. His strength, ingenuity, resolve, they were all being pushed to their limits, but he would not break. Even when faced with Jacob, the cult leader himself, he was found worthy. The cult members tearing apart their disgraced leader, but still, it was not over. Ascending back towards the light, the treasure hunter would be denied his freedom one more time, offered instead truth. He had been no simple plaything, the tests not without purpose. He was being recruited for something beyond the comprehension of lowly mortals. As a great beast of writhing tentacles rose up before him, the treasure hunter knew this would be his last trial. Passing it would mean gaining the ultimate power of the outer god Nyarlathotep, and beyond that, he could only imagine. Is it conceivable then, that rather than expending his own power on raising a great army to fight against his cosmic foes, Nyarlathotep remained concealed in twisted folds of reality, bestowing his strength onto a single champion he deemed worthy? The champion then going on to build a force using the ancient knowledge kept within the labyrinthine ruins beneath Dusk, preparing to set out to defeat their master's enemies, while he remains safely secluded in his dark caverns. If so, then this is not unlike the schemes of the black goat, Shub-Niggurath, only she wished to escape her prison, paying dearly for it. Whereas Nyarlathotep desired to remain hidden, allowing the outside world to forget about his existence. The treasure hunter may have defeated the cult leader, proved himself to an outer god and gained the power to tear through armies of demons and eldritch creatures alike. But there is no guarantee that he himself would not one day be proved unworthy. Maybe another will stumble upon Dusk, seeking their own fortune, only to be tested and found capable of overcoming the previous champion. Maybe even this cycle of trials and depositions have gone on and will continue to go on for an eternity, until no other is capable of proving themselves stronger, and then Nyarlathotep's conquest must ultimately begin. For now though, the treasure hunter sits as the outer god's champion, joining rangers and slayers as the strongest specimens of humanity in the universe. Only whereas the others fight against the terrible hordes, in all their forms, the treasure hunter now fights with them. He feels it horrible, but also wonderful, and knows he would willingly kill all of his brethren to maintain his power. For who he was before is insignificant, who he is now is inconceivable, and it is said that one, and only one, must forever reign beneath